Hi there and welcome back to this channel. I don't know if this... Hi there and welcome back to this channel. My name is Cris. I am the manager at Paissa and Bernat. And in this channel, every once in a while, we do a round of questions and answers. So make sure you prepare yourself your tea and let's get started. The idea is that we create here a community and have a conversation, sit down, relax. It's Sunday, put our feet up a little bit, maybe have a cup of tea and just, get through all the questions because the season's about to start and it's better to have all the answers ready to go and everything with you, just to make sure that the wedding planning is not stressful at all. We are going to be busy as from the start of May. We have weddings, sometimes they're back to back, so now is the time to have this conversation, to make sure that everything's answered, to think about things. I'm going to ask you, especially those at the end of the season, to make a little bit of an effort and make sure that your wedding planning is completed by April, because obviously there's things like the table plans and so on that are going to take a little bit longer, but there's the general questions that I would appreciate that you get to me now. Make sure that everyone's on the same page and that everything's smooth and very straightforward, and that you just need to send me an email a month before and say, look, Cris, this is the table plan, this is our transportation order, this is our final guest count, and let's go ahead and wrap it all up. So with that in mind, let's get on to our second round of questions and answers. So the first question is about having a saxophonist. When is the best time for that to happen? When it comes to entertainment, I personally say to everyone that, so basically, let's go through the timings and let's think about when it's best to have something. So the way that the day is set up is that you have your welcome drinks and you have your ceremony, cocktail reception, dinner, and then the party. So let's go part by part. Welcome drinks, you can have live entertainment. We have had it in the past. However, I did this for the 2019 tasting event. I had a guy there, he was playing the guitar. He was fantastic. Nobody noticed him. Everyone was, obviously that's when we did the new terrace for the ceremony. So everyone's attention was to that. And this was people that had already come to the venue. So for people that are new to the venue and that haven't seen it before, the place is breathtaking, and that's why you chose it. And you know how this wow effect is. It blocks everything else that's happening around you. That's why sometimes I even say that decorations, there's things that are not important because that's going to be their main point of focus. With this set, entertainment at the start, I would say let's consider that for later. So you got welcome drinks. I'm going to play background music. Ceremony, and then after that you've got the cocktail reception for an hour and a half or two depending on your schedule. So if you're considering something like a solo, I'm going to say something like a guitarist, then for this time what I would suggest is that you don't program that to start straight after the ceremony, but you allow 15-20 minutes or even half an hour for people to settle into the environment. So I know that they've been there for about an hour by that point, but the main focus after the ceremony is for them to get a drink, get a bite, and then after that you can do a set of 1 hour guitarist. If you're doing an hour and a half, then that can be throughout the whole reception. But if you're trying to keep your budget to a minimum, then an hour set, half an hour after the ceremony is finished is a perfect timing. If you're doing something like a duo or a bigger band, then I would recommend that you do 2 sets of 45 minutes. This can overlap a little bit the dinner service, but that's totally fine because it just adds to the experience. So you're going to do 2 sets, 45 minutes with a break in the middle. You'll have to speak to your supplier there because maybe they recommend that you do different sets, so it's going to be also based on their repertoire. So think about that, but make sure that you break it up and you pull that out throughout the whole time of the cocktail reception. Then after this, you have the dinner service. The dinner service, if you have got entertainment planned for that time, it's very romantic because it's the time when the sun's starting to go down, you're at the tables, there's a lot of chattering, there's a lot of noise. Yes, people are very distracted, but also it just really makes it romantic. So if the plan is to make your event very romantic, then it really works well. We have had that. I did that also for the tasting event. I've had it for other events, and it's quite nice because it kind of means that if you want to pull out of the conversation of the table just for 5 minutes and take in what's happening, you have an extra element there that's quite nice. And then you have the evening entertainment, so the party. We're supplying you with the DJ, but you can bring in something like a band or someone, a singer, maybe a saxophonist, or something that combines well a trumpet and a sax, or a violinist, whatever that is that you're thinking of. This is a great time to do that. It boosts the energy of the group. It brings everyone to the dance floor. So that is why we included the sunset time to your timings. So go back to that configuration of your timings and check at what time the open bar starts and check at what time the sun sets. And then you're going to have to decide, what is the vibe that I want? So let's say that the bar opens at 9 p.m. But the sun sets at 9:20 p.m. So maybe it would be really cool that you have kind of a chill out sunset session as opposed to party at that time. So what that saxophonist can do is that they can do 2 sets, so you bring them in for an hour or 2, and they'll do sets because you don't want saxophonists for too long, but they'll do a set of sunset for the sunset, and then they take a break. Everyone, takes another drink, and then, we're ready to actually move to the dance floor, and that's when you want your saxophonist to start and draw everyone to the dance floor. At this point, maybe that's when the first dance is going to happen. If you want something casual, you can also kind of see what the saxophonist has got in his playlist or her playlist, and work that out to something very casual. You have decided that you wanted an abroad wedding, you wanted to make it different, so you don't have to worry too much about this if you are not thinking of having a first dance. Just have something where you can start and make it a little bit more mellow at the beginning, and then kind of boost it and bring everyone in. So it's worth talking about that with the entertainer at that time. And then how I would do it is that I would say at the start of the open bar, when you want people to come to the dance floor to dance, and then 45 minutes after that, a second set. Because by the end of the dance floor, so if you've got a 3 or a 4 hour open bar, most people think that they need like a booster at the end. It's like having the shot at the end. Don't worry, we're going to be giving them the shots. At that point, everyone is super excited and on the dance floor. You don't need that booster. That's why it's good to have a drawer to the dance floor and a booster halfway, but you don't need it at the end because they're already going to be there. So yeah, that's the answer to that. My next question on the list has got to do with payments. So payments to us, payments to suppliers. I'm combining a few because mostly it's all about payments. So I'm going to combine that question. So there's 2 things that we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about the payments to us and then payments to suppliers or vendors. So first of all, the payments to us. When are you going to receive your final quote? That is due 1 month prior to the event date. So it is included in your contract, it is included in your quote, the date itself, you can calculate that as well. But we need final numbers by 1 month prior to the event. At that time, we send you a final invoice. This is how much it's going to cost you, and you need to make that payment then. If for any reason you're deciding to do cash payments just because you want to benefit from the discount, then I would consider doing this at the time of the tasting event. You won't be doing that off the final full payment because we do need to make that final adjustment, even if it's 1 person up or 1 person down. So we keep kind of a little bit towards the end of that, but you can use that time to make payments. I am going to make the Sunday available for meetings so that you can meet up with me and that we do settles on payments. And then in terms of vendors, I understand as well that maybe you want to benefit from cash payments to suppliers, or that maybe simply because they've got a small configuration or it's just them, it's a solo business and they maybe struggle to handle it, or maybe they just say to you, look, this is the deposit and this is how much is due on the day. When payments are due on the day, we don't handle these. So I just, mainly because I have got so much going on and I wouldn't really want to trust anyone else. I would want to do it myself, and I wish I could do everything, but unfortunately I just can't do everything, and it's just too much responsibility to take on the cash. You can decide if you want to make a transfer before the event, meet up with your supplier before the event, maybe use the time of the tasting event to do that second payment if that's what you want to do, if you want to make it in cash. Or if not, assign the payment to someone within your party, someone responsible. I think that you've got plenty of time to think about that and to talk to your vendors and make sure that that is something that's been planned out. Make a note, put that in your diary, arrange a time, arrange a place, if it's going to be physical money, and then just, have a plan for that. Lastly, on the topic of money as well, we have the refundable damage deposit. So we keep that for the unlikely event that there's, something big happens on the day and something big breaks. So usually a statue or something like that gets, smashed or something like that. I must say that usually there's no damage made, it's very smooth, and basically you give that to us and then we refund it in full. There's two ways of you to be able to pass this damage deposit on to us. One will be through transfer, so I have included that in the check-in form. That will be done by transfer to the account that is provided, and that needs to be with us a week before the event. So I will check that that's there, and then everything goes to plan, and we'll refund it within 10 days of the event having finished. We are a small business and it's all very manual, so it can take us a few more days. That's why we just allow that it's 10 days for us to get that to you. And then the second option is the cash. So with cash, I'm happy to take dollars, pounds, euros, whatever works for you. And that's going to be 2,500, whatever the currency is. I would recommend that you bring that to us maybe in the morning. I will be getting in touch with those that are paying cash and see which is the best way to make the arrangements for that. It's up to you if you can come to us the next day, if you can, and if not, 2 days later, whatever is better for you. We can, be flexible with how we arrange that. We'll look into that closer to the time. The next question on my list has got to do with the dance floor. So I did post in the video of 2 weeks ago that we are going to be offering the inside as a discotheque. This is optional. I'm gonna set it up really cool, but it's totally up to you if you want the discotheque inside or outside. The main differences will be that inside you're already going to have fairy lights. There's going to be a kind of a configuration already there, and we're not going to take that down throughout the summer. So there's going to be fairy lights set fix in there just to kind of give it a cool ambience. And then outside, if you the only thing that we need to factor in is that music needs to be slightly a little bit more controlled. But we do this just to make sure that we're not disturbing neighbors. And I have included this on your music form. You're going to be able to choose if you want it in or if you want it out. You don't need to decide this right now. You can wait to come in April, see what we have done by then, because I haven't done anything yet. I'm kind of just getting there. We went down there the other day and we tested the music, and it sounds amazing. Can put it up really loud, but I haven't got anything to show you. So April's going to be the deadline for that. Hopefully I can do that before and share it with you, but if not, you can decide in April. It's quite simple because it's a drop down option of yes and no, or in and out kind of option. So until April. Another question that I have is on the topic of candles and sparklers. Everyone wants candles for their weddings. I understand they melt, and they are a fire risk. If they're on the tables and they're contained and there's no risk, then it's going to be okay. But they do melt under the heat, and by heat I mean mostly all of the summer, end of May, June, July, August, start of September, pretty hot. They're going to melt because we are going to be putting them out early in the morning, so they could easily melt. However, if they're in a glass container, a cylinder that's taller than the actual candle, and there's no fire risks there, well then on the tables we're going to be fine for that. And then another question that I had was about sparklers. Right, how we're going to go about this is that I am going to say yes to sparklers, but I need that to be supervised. I'm going to have to ask you to include that in the comments of the table plan, and it's just going to have to be supervised just so that we have, fire extinguishers close by. If anything happens, it shouldn't happen. I mean, I'm just you know, I live in the countryside. I've got this massive worry about fires. It's just in my nature. However, I do want you to have that picture perfect sunset with sparklers, and if you want to make that part of your day, then I'm not going to be the person to say no for that. The risks of having sparklers are going to be that there is obviously a fire. Usually they're quite safe, and then another thing that could happen is that the sparklers burn the tablecloths. In this case, then obviously we would be charging for this, but that's just something to factor in. And the same happens with candles, you know, sometimes they burn the tables. So same happens when people smoke on the tables, but we don't allow this. Smoking only happens on the covered porch. So yeah, we're good to go. Sparklers, yes. Since we're at the tables, another question that I have is on favours for guests. I absolutely don't like plastic wedding favours. I think it's just a generator of rubbish because I have thrown so much in the bins, you know. If we can be environmentally aware of this and, you know, think, well, what we're going to be giving them. However, why don't we just build an experience, make it amazing? Like, I like to recommend things like, you know, do a workshop. Come in April, do a workshop, make your own yerba Ibiza, which is a local liqueur, or make your own gin, and, you know, you can produce your own product that's going to be very special to you. It's sustainable, and then you can share that with your friends and just make that part of your speeches or make that part of your ceremony. You know, you can include that in the ceremony and then make it part of your wedding favor. These are the things that I think make your day extra special, and we're not relying on buying things on Amazon. So if you can do this, I think it's just so much better. So there's the liqueur making. You could make soap. Maybe a hangover kit is useful, so something that you can give to your guests as soon as they're getting onto the minibuses and going back home, something for them to recover for the next day if you've got something planned. But I would just think something practical. Try and make this unique to yourselves, you know, think about it, spend some time deciding what it is that you like. You know, you're gonna have to inspire me with this and let me know what, you know, maybe include in your comments below anything that you've been thinking about that you wanted to share with other couples, because obviously when it comes to this, it's nice that it's something special. If not, it's not even worth doing anything, because you are giving them the present of bringing them all the way to Ibiza. I mean, it's an excuse to travel, it's an excuse to have an event, and you know, I think that's what they're going to treasure the most. So don't worry too much if you don't have a wedding favor, because it's not actually that important. People sometimes, most of the times, actually forget about these. They leave them on the tables. We do store them, but they've left them at the venue, and sometimes it's just difficult to distribute them again. So think practically, think of something that's a bit of more of an experience as opposed to an object, and make it fun for them. You know, maybe that's a cigar or something like that. Just something that can be enjoyed at that time. I have another question that has got to do with something that actually I tell people when they come and visit me, and it has to do with the grounds of Paissa, the floor actually. So I don't know if you've noticed, and if you haven't visited us yet because you haven't been able to, then let me tell you that the floor at Paissa is very, very irregular. Stilettos, I say no. I mean, I have seen people arrive in very high heels, and they just struggle so much to get from one side of the villa to the other. If you're sending out a clothing protocol, you know, advice on what to wear, then that would be for me that you say, you know, if you are going to be wearing high heels, that these are thick, or, you know, maybe more of a wedge. Don't go for stilettos. The flooring of the venue is not adequate for that. Then also I would include into this things about the clothing. I would tell people to avoid black, or just ban it completely, because it looks terrible on the pictures. And just light linen clothing. Think about how people are going to dress, what you do want, what you don't want, make it clear. You don't want shorts, well then tell people that you don't want shorts. You don't mind shorts, then tell people that you don't mind shorts. Likewise for the ladies, dresses. I mean, these beautiful dresses that are heavy, thick material. They look fantastic, and you know, they're usually good for other countries. However, in Spain it's so hot, so hot, so hot that, you know, you just bake in them. So long, flowy dresses are way better, more comfortable, and you just don't get so hot in them. And so the last question of today is about children. I would make sure that basically that the children are supervised all day from start to finish if you can. In the evening, most couples that are planning their wedding, they think that the children are going to go to bed. I can tell you that the children are the first ones on the dance floor. They enjoy themselves, they dance all night. I would be careful with providing too many sweets, because maybe that gives them, you know, that makes them too hyperactive. So think about that as well. But if not, if you do have them there, then know that you're going to have them until midnight dancing on the dance floor and having a great time. Usually it's not the case that they sleep. If you have got babies attending, then we're going to have cots, and obviously one of the rooms is open. So if you want to put the children to bed, then you'll have to bring a monitor with you, and they can use that room. Make sure that you have a good plan for them, because as much as you're planning for the adults, you do want to be thinking about the children as well. Paissa is a safe venue and nothing's going to happen. The supervision is mainly to keep them entertained and, you know, to have something fun happening for them. Maybe you want to bring in a clown or something similar. So think about that. And if you do have any questions on this, you can always drop me an email, or you can include a comment below. Again, like every week, and in a more relaxed way. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, join us in this conversation, send me your questions. I will be doing these sessions of questions and answers, and I very much enjoy them because they're very relaxed, and it's just a great excuse to get chatting about weddings. So looking forward to the summer. Have a lovely evening. Take care. Bye.